Every other VoIP comparison article you'll find online was written for sales teams, not recruiters. So I built the checklist that should have existed, and at the end, I'll show you exactly how we use ours inside of a live workflow. Every other best VoIP article online is built around the same buyer, a sales team. The criteria is always call quality, uptime, cost per seat. Does it have a Salesforce or HubSpot integration? This auto dialer, parallel dialer thing, and that's the sales tech stack. VoIP didn't start for recruiters. It started for sales teams, contact centers, customer support, all those use cases. The tools that existed were built for those buyers first, and recruiters got the handed leftovers. The recruiter's day, though, as we know, is completely different, right? You're not running around doing 200 cold calls to strangers. You're running to 30 to 50 highly contextual conversations, candidate screenings, client briefs, offer negotiations. Every single call has information, and in that, it matters later. The question a sales team asks after the call is, did they pick up? The question a recruiter asks is, what did they say? Where does this information live now? And can I grab this and send this off to the hiring team so I can get that submittal placed? The one difference changes everything in terms of how you should evaluate this. CoRecruit is the first VoIP that's built specifically for third-party recruiters. So again, we're only doing this for our friends in executive search, staffing, and boutique search. And we built this from the ground up for how recruiters actually work. Not adapted from sales tools or with sales teams in mind, maybe for phase 2 of how we're looking to build this out. It's not a bolt-on generic phone system. It's built specifically for this. So with that, we built 7 things to evaluate, and here's your checklist that I'd be checking before I'd be buying any phone system for a recruiting team. So number 1, does it record the calls? Right? And it's not just the video recording or things like that, or maybe not just does it record a phone call, right? We know that recruiting is multi-channel. You're going to be doing phone calls, and from the client data we see, 91% of the conversations that our over 1,000 customers do happen over the phone. But does it also support if you're doing video calls or in-person meetings, or do you have to start bolting on different pieces of technology to do so? Most AI note-taking tools are just VoIP systems. Only work with one channel. It might just be over the phone or just over Teams or maybe just in person if there are any from there as well. But the moment a recruiter might take a call on their mobile phone versus a standard VoIP system versus anything else in the middle, like nothing's captured. And as we know, 91% of conversations are happening on this thing. So it's crucial to make sure we're actually capturing that. From a recruitment standpoint, phone calls are obviously our most important conversation. If you're missing those, you're maybe capturing, as we can see, 9% of our conversations of what your team actually does. So making sure that a platform that you're using actually covers all the key channels that matter to you is crucial as we're evaluating these tools. The biggest part, though, is what actually happens with that context after the conversation is done. Does it just live in a transcript? Does it just live somewhere over here? Or is it actually inside of your source of truth? And so one of the biggest things that you should be evaluating is, does it automatically push it to your ATS? Or are you still having to copy and paste, put that transcript into ChatGPT to get the outcome you're looking for, just so you can keep that context? And this is the biggest question that almost no comparison article or folks actually mention, is if your phone system actually produces the accurate, up-to-date notes, fully contextualized for what you're looking to track. And does it automatically put it back into your favorite Bullhorn, JobAdder, Loxo, Top Echelon, Crelate, or more type platform? And if you haven't solved this problem and you're just copying and pasting it over, ask any vendor, does the note go automatically in, or is there something else that I still need to do? And the biggest piece here is there's a lot of difference between, are we just getting a transcript pushing through? Are we getting detailed notes? And what other elements are being updated, like fields, action types, write-ups, and more? And so the first piece, even just looking at, does it push into your ATS? We should be thinking, what pushes, where does it push, and how does it push as well? Because as we know, there's a big variance in terms of ATS hygiene. And this is, and can be, the number one place that we actually source future candidates. So this matters. The other thing that we should think about, so number 3 here, is what happens after you hang up the call. The speed of processing matters. If the transcript takes 45 minutes to an hour to load, it's already cold. The candidate's moved on, yours moved on, you have other things that you're doing, other calls that you're focused on too, and the detail starts to fade. The benchmark is notes, summary, ATS updated within 5 minutes or less. Before you've done picking up your coffee, one of our G2 reviews actually is even mentioned. Does all this within 3 minutes of hanging up a call, so that way right when you're done, you can make sure you have all the context you need, so you can finish that placement, send over the materials you need, and you can move on to your next most productive task. Other things that we should be thinking about. So piece number 4, does it produce outputs that you can actually use, or just raw transcripts? A transcript is raw material, and it is vitally important to make sure we have all that accurate context. But if there's still additional steps that you or your team needs to take, there's obviously inefficiencies built in. And so something like a candidate submittal, maybe it's a job description, maybe it's something else, that finished product. Most tools stop at that transcript. The real question is, can the system take a screening call that you just finished and actually produce it into something that you can send to the client that's not just AI jargon? Our survey shows that recruiters are spending 20 to 30 minutes, if not more, on a single candidate submittal before they started using CoRecruit. And once they started using the system, that dropped to under 10 minutes. And typically the benchmark that we see is that folks are able to automate about 90% of the tasks that they were doing before. That's not just a transcript, that's a full output that you can actually use to start making placements faster. Point number 5, does it work without needing a bot to join? One of the biggest things that we hear from our clients is that sometimes they find those bots joining the calls to be distracting, the AI overlord joining that meeting, and it can take away some of the human elements that we're looking to keep, especially inside of recruiting. And so another key thing that we should be looking for across that communication platform that we're using is, do they offer an ability for you to have a botless recording? So for sales teams running a high volume outbound calls, that's probably totally fine. But for recruitment, when we're building relationships with clients, candidates, or anyone here in between, sometimes having that visible bot on your call can be distracting. So candidates are actually focused on what they're seeing on the screen, not that human relationship. And so one of the biggest game changers that CoRecruit's been helping with is we do give you that ability to create a botless experience. You can have that disclosure at the start, and then when you're actually getting into the conversations, you can keep that human-to-human conversation live, getting all the context and making sure that we're still automating all of that work. Point number 6, and this is probably my favorite, can your manager use it for coaching? Your phone system should be a coaching tool. If we're doing 91% of our conversations over it, there is so much valuable context that we can use to get better. And what benchmarks and industry data shows is that enablement is one of the least invested into resources that we can use to upskill ourselves and build more. So if your manager, your team lead, your managing director has insights to your transcripts, how you've been handling objections, the ability to run scorecards based on what good looks like at your firm, that's a completely different level of team development that we can use. And most VoIPs never mention it. And it's arguably one of the most valuable inside of recruitment, maybe even more so than sales. Because the difference between a good screen and a misplacement often lives in the questions, secondary and tertiary questions that are asked. And so does the system that you're investing into give you the ability to actually level up as a recruiter and even from a team perspective too? And number 7, how long does it generally take to set up? Generic VoIP systems built for enterprise and IT teams can take weeks. The beautiful part about CoRecruit is that for a 10 to 100 employee recruiting agency, that's a massive blocker. This bar should be days, not weeks. And CoRecruit can be developed within the first couple of days, obviously depending on porting situations and whatnot. So the honest truth here, run your current phone system through these 7 points right now. There is billable money being left on the table. Most agencies score a 2 out of 3, usually decent quality, basic recording, but nothing ends up inside of your ATS. No automation. We're still relying on our ChatGPT or Claude friend to take that transcript and do this too. And if they are using a tool, maybe it's a separate VoIP to a separate note taker on side of the video calls. And so their data is fragmented everywhere. This is not helping you upscale and start to place your clients faster. With a system like this, everything is inside of one centralized place and 0 manager coaching layers available. So that's not a failing grade on your team. That's a failing grade on the tools that were built for a different buyer. And so obviously finding one that is built exactly for this workflow is what's needed. So let me actually show you how this all works inside of the CoRecruit platform. So diving on in exactly how we can do this, there's a couple of different ways. For any of our friends using their mobile phone, we do just have a mobile app, super simple. Call your candidate directly from there, link it back to your ATS, everything is good to go. If you are using something like a CRM, ATS, anything inside of this, what you can actually do is even just use CoRecruit's Chrome extension on that candidate contact record, and you can dial out directly inside of the platform here. Super simple click to dial system, making sure that we're capturing all the notes based on the meeting type or even automatically predicting this too. So any inbound, outbound calls, either just handled through that Chrome extension or that beautiful mobile app here as well. As we're talking about botless recordings, right? You might not want those AI overlords joining the meetings from here. What you'll see is that you can just use our desktop app to cover this. And so right when you click on this system, you'll see disconnect microphone, which lets you know all those beautiful notes are getting taken without needing to see the AI overlord joining above. And from here, you can easily just add the email address to the phone number of that candidate or client you're meeting with. And as long as that lives back inside of your ETS, we'll have that automatically updated for you as well. Again, not just giving you a transcript of that call. Right when your call is finished, you can start to fully customize the notes that you're taking on that call based on the specific type of call that you were having. Because obviously the context you'd want to track from something like an interview is completely different from what you'd want to see from a client intake meeting, which again has completely different context from that business development call that you're looking to run. And so the beautiful part with CoRecruit is we give you the ability to fully customize all those inputs, making sure that ends up back inside of your ATS when that call is done. Updating things like any relevant notes that you'd have from that call, fully contextualized based on what you specifically want to track. You don't have to chase down Ryan every Friday afternoon saying, please make sure you're updating Creelate after this call here as well. Everything based on how you want this tracked is centralized in your database. So this is searchable context. Any action or activity types automatically logged. This way all your KPI tracking is fully up to date. And even updating things like any relevant fields. So default fields, custom fields, pick lists, and more. All this context can now automatically live back inside of your database. This is the power that it gives you, I should say, to actually source these candidates from your internal database. There is a stat out there that mentions that 70% of candidates that we are placing today are actually sourced from external sources. So leveraging tools like Apollo, ZoomInfo, SourceWhale, and more from outside of our database, or things like job boards. However, 66% of those externally sourced and placed candidates already lived inside of your team's database but got manually sourced again. So you are spending twice on the exact same leads that you were looking to place, which ends up being about 45% of your placements. You are double spending on that cost structure. So wildly inefficient, and CoRecruit gives you the ability through all of your different channels to make sure that we can keep that updated. And when you have all this valuable context and you want to send something over to either the hiring team, create a job description or more, CoRecruit gives you the ability where you can actually fully customize any of the follow-up material that you'd like us to make. So maybe that's something like a job description after your intake call. Maybe that's something like an email that you might want to send after a business development call. To even something like that final executive summary or submittal that you'd send off to the hiring team, and even give you the ability to fully brand that information. So that means after your call, 0 copy and paste, you just hang up and all this work is fully automated for you. The recruiter who made this call through this platform is already on to their next, and everything from their deliverables is ready. ATS is updated, and they're off running to the next one. So I'd highly recommend running your current VoIP provider or just note-taking system against this 7 checklist here. And if you want to see how this workflow could work for your team, feel free to click the link below or come to our website where you can actually try CoRecruit for 7 days free today.